Hello there, how are you? Good. Yes, I'm back. Still bored, still locked down, still have nonsense to talk about. So let's jump right in, shall we? Okay. So it's another week, another day, another German saloon electric vehicle has been launched. The Audi E-Tron Gt, something we've been teased by Audi for I don't know, 3-4 years now at this point. It's an all-electric saloon car from Audi. It's basically a Porsche Taycan underneath. They're all the same, everything in the Volkswagen Audi group. No bad thing, Taycan seems to be a great car. This will just be a slightly cheaper version of a Taycan. Top of the range one's going to be called the E-Tron Gt RS. So it's the slightly less controversial than the top of the range Porsche being a turbo, but hey, there you go. Badge bastardization continues. Yeah, I think the design is a bit fussy. Personally, I know this is all subjective. I think it says a lot as well that Audi launched it in quite a subdued color. Saying that, the Taycan is quite color dependent as well. If I was to have either of the two, personally I'd go for the Porsche. I think I prefer the design. Not that I have either of them, to be honest. No one needs a saloon car with that much power, really, for that kind of money. This is going to retail at the RS one's going to be £133,000, so it's a 200 grand car. Yeah, just get a Peugeot E208. I saw one on the road the other day in a grey colour. Fantastic, you know, muted colours and bright colours seem to work on that car. What was that colour called? Bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves. Cumulus grey. Cloudy. Don't mind the render. It looks way better in real life. So while Audi and Porsche are busy making electric saloon cars, the long, I won't say anticipated, but basically Ferrari have been caught early testing of their SUV.
How about new, you crazy Dutch bastard?
Yeah, the Ferrari SU thing. Yeah, let's go with that. The Ferrari SUV thing it's on its way. It was inevitable. They had to join the party at some point, and at this rate, it looks like their last. So they're doing it begrudgingly. So the one that's been spied testing is heavily camouflaged, and it's clearly a Levante. Is it that what's called the Levante? The Maserati SUV body on top, but it does seem to have a kind of extended bonnet compared to a Levante, which is leading people to believe maybe Ferrari will go their own way and put a V12 into their SUV. Look, I'm a big Ferrari fan. I was, since a young kid, I followed the success of the Formula One team. Do I want them to make an SUV? No. Do they have to? Yes. It has a V12 in it. If I had to have an SUV, it may as well be a V12 one. I'm sure we'll see more of this in the months to come. Another car released in a more productionized guise from the Volkswagen Audi group corner of Germany was a car that I completely forgot about, which we saw in a concept of a couple of years ago, I think, at Pebble Beach. It is the Bugatti, they call it the Chiron now, the Bugatti Centro Gt, which, if you know your Italian, Centro Gt is Italian for 110, because this is basically a rebodied Chiron to look like the legendary 90s Bugatti EB110, which it kind of does, but not really. It has like the circly hole vent things behind the windows like the EB did. That's about it. But I think it's a cool looking car regardless. It's just it's not, rather than being a kitsch throwback to the 90s car, it's a very, very modern looking machine. Apparently, even though it's just a rebodied Chiron, they say there was a lot of engineering roadblocks they came up to, most notably engine cooling, because obviously the W16, it's a big, hot, powerful engine. The Chiron and the Veyron are infamous for not having any engine cover, just for additional cooling, let it out in the air. But because this is an homage to the EB110, they insisted on having a glass cover on the engine, which has caused some severe heating issues apparently. But apparently they're past that now. They're in prototype stages. They're only going to make 10 of them. They're going to be £8 million. I think the best thing to take away from it is it will do 0 to 186 miles an hour in 13.1 seconds, which is half a second quicker than a Chiron. McLaren aren't shy of a teaser image for a new car. Anything they've released in the last decade that they've been in existence has been, ooh, look at this corner, and ooh, look at this moody, shadowy shot. Anyway, they've done it again this week, and they're going to release a new car on the 17th of February. It's going to be called the McLaren Artura.
Ventura. Yes, Satan.
It's going to be one of their, I don't want to use the word prosaic, if this is a prosaic McLaren, but it's going to be one of their, because they're not calling them sports series and super series anymore, but it's going to be the equivalent, I think, of the 570 that we have now, or 540, the one below the 720. So they've dropped the numbering from the name, and that's one shock. They've brought out a new carbon structure, which will be excellent because McLaren are probably the market leaders when it comes to carbon technology. But the biggest thing is it's going to be a 6-cylinder hybrid. Interesting. Yeah, because they're kind of the first ones to kind of go downsize, like Ferrari, Lamborghini, and obviously Porsche have a 6-cylinder engine. But yeah, we shall see. February 17th. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Another German car reveal date. We're going to get this week as well. I think this is coming slightly earlier. I think this is the 16th of February. We're finally going to see the 992 911 GT3. They released a teaser video. It sounds like it's got a normally aspirated engine, which we would assume, the 4-litre. There will be a manual option, thankfully, because the manual is actually the best-selling version in America. Not in Europe, though. Europe, we love PDK. Long live the USA. Yeah, so, we're going to see the new GT3. It's also going to be an amazing car. We look forward to it. We have essentially seen it. Chris Harris did a teaser video with Andreas Puringer, who's the head of the GT department in Porsche. And the new one was there under a cloak. He showed us the front and he showed us the back. So we basically know what it looks like. But anyway, it means the journos are going to get it soon and we'll get an idea of what it's like to drive, which will probably be amazing. It'll be actually more interesting if it's shit. If Porsche made a shit car. I don't want them to, but it would at least be interesting. Just to go back to the Audi E-Tron at the beginning, I saw a few people making videos about its launch saying it's the first non-SUV electric car that Audi have brought out, which isn't true because for years they teased us with a concept of an E-Tron Audi R8, and then they were going to make it, then they weren't, then they were, then they weren't, blah, blah, blah. Then in 2014, they said they were going to make them by customer request. You had to get it directly from Audi in Germany. It probably cost, I don't know, who knows how much it cost. If you have to ask, you can't afford. It was pretty quick. I think it was like power and torque. Power was, I think, equivalent of the V8 at the time, and torque was probably more than both the V8 and the V10. It didn't do great. Apparently, they sold less than 100, but there are road legal production Audi R8 e-trons, and they came out almost 7 years ago. Now you know. My classified find of the week. A lot of people watching this probably already familiar with this car. It's kind of been making chatter around the internet and the forums. But anyway, there's a brand new 2021 Rolls-Royce Phantom for sale at a dealership in, I'm going to assume this is Dublin somewhere. 590 grand. I think I was buying a Phantom. If I could afford a Phantom, I'd want to spec my own one. This is it's a muted spec. It's dark color and the interior it's a light interior. And anyway, there's so much customization you can have in a Rolls-Royce, and it's such an expensive car. I think I'd want to spec my own one. But anyway, if you don't want to get on a waiting list, there is one for sale. Although people are saying someone did buy it, or I don't know. I'm not going to get involved in the story. 590 grand. One thing it does say is you can finance this car for just a shade under 12 grand a month. So that got me thinking, what kind of house could you buy with a 12 grand a month mortgage repayment? this is obviously all hypothetical speech. Don't take anything I say on this rambling bullshit seriously. But in a mortgage calculator, there's I could borrow about 3.5 million, and my payments would be about, I think, 11.5, in between 11.5, 12 grand a month. So you could have, instead of that Rolls-Royce, you could have number 25 Raglan Road in Ballsbridge, 3.5 million, 5 bedroom, 4 bath. Like the Audi, it is quite fussy in its design on the interior. A lot going on. But there you go, you know. You can't drive the house, but there is more bedrooms. Now for some off-topic chat. I assume most people watching this will probably have a smartphone. Nearly everyone does. It's a sad fact of life that we can't really seem to live without them now. I don't really care which team you fall on, Apple, Android. It doesn't make any difference. They're just pieces of technology. I have only ever had Android phones. Again, it's not for any particular loyalty to brand or anything. It's just that I have had Androids since the first Android phone. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this now, but this was the Android G1. It came out in 2009, so it came out about 6 months after the first iPhone, and wasn't officially sold here. I don't think the first actual retail Android phone came out in 2010 in Ireland. This is a special, it's usually white, but this is a special black one with a special Android cover, which I'm not sure if you'll be able to see, which was for Google employees only. You know, it's not what you know to, you know. It has a nice little like nipple scrolly thing here that you could click into as well. A home button, answer your calls and stuff. Touchscreen, obviously, as smartphones are. This one is cracked, was a trend of phones really up until my most current one, touch wood. It only goes up to Android 1.6, which means you can't get WhatsApp on it, because otherwise I would possibly consider using this today, because this has one feature that I would love to see return. So, you know, it's a nice size, a little bit thicker than you would, you know, expect to see today. But the reason it's thicker is because you can do this. When you pop up the screen, you get yourself a full QWERTY keyboard. Texting has never been so satisfying. God, I miss buttons, both in phones and in cars. This may become a collector's item someday. I did try turning it on with the battery properly flat, but it does work. I did turn it on last year at some point, so it does still work. I looked up on eBay to see if they're worth any money. They're not really. I found one standard white one for 50 quid. Its day will come though. It'll be like vinyl in 20, I don't know, probably after I'm dead. So before we sign off, I'll have to do my usual, what would you buy instead of the car I talked about earlier? So obviously the highlight there, I think today, was the Audi E-Tron. So what if you do need a really powerful saloon car? The first one that came up, and significantly cheaper than buying a brand new Audi E-Tron. We're talking, it's at 200 grand for the E-Tron RS. You can get yourself a 2015 C63 for 45 grand. 4-door saloon. It's got a beautiful sounding V8. Yeah, and big saving. Okay, you're gonna, you know, catch up to the 200 grand with your fuel bills pretty quickly. But hey, it'll sound good. It'll be definitely a nicer car to drive than the E-Tron. How do I know that? Look, let's not beat around the bush. Beautiful. Enjoy it while you can, because there probably won't be another V8 C63 if the rumours are to be believed. 4 cylinders are on the way. If you want to be really brave, it's the one I would go for, and it's a significant saving, €19,950 for a 2007 Maserati Quattroporte. This will probably catch up for the 200 grand you'd spend on the E-Tron simply by things that break as soon as you buy it. But what a fantastic car. I am seriously considering taking the punt on a Quattroporte. It would be stupid, but I am stupid. And what if you want to scrap the practicality altogether, but just stick in the same stable? Well, for a massive saving, €64,950, a 2008 V8 Audi R8. forget the kids, just, you know, sell them and buy the R8 and you'll be much happier. One last thing before I go as well, just a little grind my gears for want of a better phrase. Something that annoys me about cars, which I see an awful lot around here where I live, bull bars. How these are still legal, I've no idea, and why people fit them to what I've seemed to see are two-wheel drive Santa Fe's and Qashqai's. I know you can get them that they easily deform in an impact, regardless whether it's a deformable one or a normal one. If a piece of round bar hits the head of a kid, they're going to die. You don't live on a ranch. You're not going ram raiding corner shops down the country to rob the ATMs. If there's anyone from the government listening, please ban bull bars. They are stupid. And with that, I will leave you. Be safe, be well. No doubt I'll be back again soon. God bless. Huh?